Hello there. Tonight we'll step into a universe where stars are threads and galaxies are looms, a realm whispered about in the faintest cosmic echoes. Imagine a vast shimmering canvas, not of paint, but of starlight, woven by an unseen hand into a tapestry of unparalleled beauty and order. This is the stage for our journey, a cosmic fabric so ancient, so profound, that its very existence is now little more than a fading myth. But sometimes even the softest whispers can carry the greatest truths. Before you settle in comfortably, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment below with your location and what time it is where you are. You'll see just how many others are awake with you tonight. You're not alone in the dark. Now dim the lights, climb into bed, pull the blanket up, release all tension, and let go of every thought. Just focus on tonight's journey. The legend of the celestial weaver and their lost tapestry was one of those tales that lingered on the fringes of astrophysical discourse, a beautiful but dismissed poetic notion. It spoke of a time when the cosmos was not merely a collection of stars and nebulae, but a conscious, intricately designed artwork, humming with a perfect underlying harmony. This harmony, so the whispers claimed, was the direct result of the weaver's grand tapestry, an ethereal creation that literally held the fabric of reality together. But epochs had passed, stellar nurseries had bloomed and died, and the vibrant memory of this cosmic art had faded into the background hum of an ever-expanding universe. Now it was just a faint echo, a half-remembered lullaby sung by the oldest stardust. Yet, even in its near extinction, this legend held a peculiar fascination for a select few, those who listened not just with instruments, but with an intuitive sense for the deeper, unspoken rhythms of space. They were the dreamers, the poets, and sometimes the most astute scientists, who understood that the universe often held its most profound truths in its most delicate, fleeting expressions. They knew that sometimes the faintest signal could betray the presence of something truly monumental, something that had merely been obscured by the relentless march of cosmic time. And so the concept of the star thread was born, a theoretical construct for a pattern that was almost, but not entirely gone. It was said that the last vestiges of the tapestry's influence could be perceived as an incredibly subtle, almost imperceptible tremor in the cosmic microwave background, or a fleeting, impossible-to-replicate luminescence in the heart of distant, ancient galaxies. These were not anomalies that traditional astronomy could easily quantify or explain away. They were too gentle, too diffuse, like the ghost of a scent from a long-vanished flower. Most researchers, faced with such nebulous data, would simply attribute them to instrument error, background noise, or some as-yet unknown mundane cosmic phenomenon. The scientific method, after all, demanded reproducibility and clear, unambiguous evidence, and the star thread offered neither with any immediate clarity. But there were always those who felt a pull beyond the quantifiable, a yearning for the hidden beauty that science, in its pursuit of precision, sometimes overlooked. They spoke of a cosmic hum, a subtle resonance that once permeated all existence, a direct consequence of the weaver's artistry. It was believed that this hum, though now almost silent, still carried the ghost of its original melody, a deep, resonant vibration that, if one listened closely enough, could stir something ancient within the soul. This was the true nature of the fading star thread. Not a physical artifact, but a resonance, a memory embedded in the very fabric of space-time, a celestial whisper that hinted at a forgotten order, a lost beauty. To perceive it, one needed not just powerful telescopes, but a profound patience, a willingness to sit in the cosmic quiet and wait for the subtle shifts, the almost imperceptible changes that hinted at something more. It was like trying to hear a single drop of dew fall in the midst of a gentle rainstorm. Possible, but only if one's senses were finely attuned and one's mind was completely at peace. The star thread was the universe's softest secret, waiting for the gentlest ear to truly hear its fading song. And as it faded, so too did the memory of the weaver's grand design, leaving behind a universe that, while still breathtakingly beautiful, felt just a little less connected, a little more random, a little more unstitched. But the legend persisted, a soft, insistent whisper across the eons, waiting for someone to truly listen. Whispers on the cosmic wind. That's what Ilara called them. Not just the faint, almost imperceptible disturbances in the background radiation of space, but the intuitive nudges, the feelings that something profound lay hidden just beyond the reach of her most advanced instruments. Ilara was an astrophysicist, young but with an old soul. One who found as much poetry in the equations of cosmic mechanics as she did in the swirling colors of a distant nebula. She worked in a grand observatory, nestled high in the mountains, where the air was thin and the stars seemed to prick the darkness with an almost aggressive brilliance. Her colleagues often teased her for her mystical inclinations, but secretly admired her uncanny ability to spot patterns others missed. It began subtly, as all great discoveries often do. Ilara was sifting through terabytes of raw data from a recently launched deep space probe designed to map the most ancient regions of the universe. Most of the data was exactly what was expected: red-shifted galaxies, quasar emissions, the predictable hum of the cosmic microwave background. But then she noticed it. A tiny, repetitive fluctuation in energy, far too regular to be random noise, yet far too weak to trigger any of the observatory's automated anomaly alerts. It was like a delicate tremor beneath a colossal, silent mountain range. She isolated the signal, enhancing it, cleaning it, stripping away layers of interference. It was incredibly faint, a whisper so soft it almost slipped through her perception. But once she had it, she couldn't unhear it. It wasn't a burst or a pulse or a wave in the traditional sense. It was more like a subtle variation in the very fabric of space-time, a harmonic resonance that seemed to shift and change in intricate, non-random ways. It was a pattern, she realized, with a thrill that made her fingertips tingle, but unlike any pattern she had ever encountered in her years of studying the cosmos. Her initial theories were purely scientific, perhaps a new form of dark matter interaction, or an unexpected byproduct of supermassive black hole mergers. She ran simulations, cross-referenced with known phenomena, consulted every textbook and research paper she could find. Nothing fit. The pattern was too complex, too ordered, too artistic. It felt almost deliberate. It felt like a signature. Ilara spent weeks holed up in her private observation dome. The vast telescope array pointed tirelessly at the specific sector of space from which the whisper emanated. She drank lukewarm coffee and ate stale energy bars, her mind consumed by the enigmatic signal. The pattern wasn't static. It evolved, slowly, gracefully, like a piece of music unfolding over an impossibly long duration. She began to assign numerical values to the fluctuations, charting them, graphing them, searching for any discernible mathematical sequence. One night, as the cold desert wind whistled around the dome and the stars glittered like scattered diamonds, Ilara finally saw it. The numerical sequence, when plotted on a multi-dimensional graph, didn't form a predictable curve or a chaotic scatter. Instead, it created an impossibly intricate, self-repeating fractal, a design so complex it defied conventional geometric description. It was beautiful, mesmerizing, and utterly alien. It was like looking at the fingerprint of the universe itself, but a fingerprint that seemed to belong to an artist, not a random collision of forces. "It's a pattern," she whispered to the silent cosmos, her voice barely audible above the gentle hum of her equipment. "But what kind of pattern?" Then a memory, a half-forgotten lecture from a grizzled old professor during her undergraduate days, resurfaced. He had spoken of the cosmic loom, a poetic metaphor for the interconnectedness of all things, hinting at ancient myths of a great weaver who wove the stars into existence. At the time, Ilara had dismissed it as fanciful musing. Now, staring at the intricate fractal on her screen, the metaphor didn't seem so fanciful anymore. The patterns she was observing, these unusual energy readings, weren't just data points. They felt like echoes, like the residual vibrations of something vast and ancient that had once pulsed with incredible power. They felt like threads, delicate and almost invisible, stretching across the eons. The more she analyzed, the more she became convinced that these weren't random cosmic phenomena. They were too intricate, too deliberate. They suggested a design, an intelligence, a purpose far grander than anything current astrophysics could explain. This wasn't just a scientific discovery. It was an awakening. The universe, in Ilara's mind, had always been magnificent, but now it felt alive in a way she hadn't conceived before. It felt like a grand silent opera, and she had just stumbled upon a faint, forgotten overture, The whispers on the cosmic wind weren't just data points. They were invitations, an invitation to unravel a secret that had been woven into the very fabric of existence, a secret that hinted at a celestial weaver and a lost tapestry. Her path, she realized, was no longer just about observing the universe, but about listening to its deepest, most ancient song. And in that song she sensed the first subtle notes of a grand, forgotten design waiting to be rediscovered. The whispers on the cosmic wind led Ilara not to another observatory, nor to a cutting-edge research facility, but to a place far older, far dustier, and infinitely more silent, the cosmic archive. Hidden deep within the hollowed-out core of a dormant asteroid, a relic from the early epochs of galactic formation, the archive was a legend whispered among a select few in the scientific community. It wasn't a digital database or a collection of physical records in the conventional sense. Instead, it was tended by a singular, enigmatic figure known only as the archivist, a being said to be as ancient and timeless as the stardust itself. Ilara had heard the tales, of course. The archivist was not human, nor of any known sentient species. Its form was fluid, shifting like a nebula, its voice a symphony of barely audible cosmic hums and crackles. It communicated in riddles, in metaphors, in ancient languages long forgotten by the modern universe. Most people who sought the archivist came away frustrated, confused, or simply dismissed the encounter as a hallucination brought on by prolonged isolation in deep space. But Ilara knew with an unshakable certainty that if anyone could illuminate the meaning behind the strange fractal patterns she'd discovered, it would be the archivist. The journey to the asteroid was long and solitary. Her small, silent research vessel slipped through fields of ancient debris, past nebulae that bloomed like cosmic flowers, and through the chilling emptiness between star systems. As she approached the asteroid, her sensors detected no discernible energy signature, no artificial light, no sign of life. Yet she felt a pull, a subtle resonance that mirrored the whispers she'd been tracking. It was as if the asteroid itself was a forgotten thought, waiting to be remembered. She landed in a cavernous, naturally formed dock, the air within strangely still and cold. The only light came from the distant pinprick stars visible through a massive natural opening. As she stepped out of her vessel, the silence was profound, a silence that seemed to hum with untold stories. Then, from the deepest shadow, a shape began to coalesce. It was fluid, shifting like smoke given form, coalescing into something vaguely humanoid but utterly alien. Stars seemed to twinkle within its translucent depths, and nebulae swirled gently across its surface. This was the archivist. Its voice, when it finally spoke, was not a sound, but a resonance that vibrated through Ilara's bones, a chorus of faint echoes that seemed to come from every direction at once. You seek answers, seeker of the faint echoes. The cosmic loom calls, but its threads are tangled in the dust of ages. Ilara, despite her initial awe, found her voice. I have found patterns, intricate and unlike any I know. They speak of a design, of something vast and forgotten. Do they relate to the celestial weaver? The archivist's form shimmered, and a faint, mournful hum filled the cavern. The weaver's song, a melody once sung by every star, now but a forgotten whisper. You hear the silence between the notes, child of fleeting light. I see a fractal, a signature that suggests a creator, a purpose. Is it part of the lost tapestry? The archivist slowly extended a tendril of shimmering light, pointing towards a section of the cavern wall that seemed to ripple like water. On its surface, faint, glowing constellations appeared and disappeared. The tapestry is not seen, but felt, not woven of light, but of harmony. You grasp a single thread, seeker, but a single thread unravels little. "How do I find more threads?" Ilara asked, her voice filled with a desperate hope. "The truth is scattered, like stardust after a supernova. It hides in the forgotten lore, in the songs of dying stars, in the dreams of nascent galaxies. The patterns you seek are but a map to deeper riddles." It then began to speak not in direct answers, but in a series of poetic, almost nonsensical phrases. "Where the cosmic currents churn, and ancient light begins to mourn, there lies a knot, a forgotten bourne. The celestial serpent coils, its tail unseen, where whispers of the weaver's dream convene. And seek the silent guardians, carved from stellar fire, who hold the secrets of cosmic desire." Ilara listened intently, trying to grasp the meaning behind the beautiful yet frustratingly vague pronouncements. The archivist seemed to delight in speaking in riddles, as if the very act of deciphering was part of the journey itself. It spoke of threads of time woven backward, and light beyond the visible spectrum, and stars that sing in silent tongues. It was overwhelming, like trying to catch starlight in a sieve. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the archivist gestured towards a shimmering, ethereal depiction of a constellation forming on the cavern wall. It was a pattern Ilara had seen before in ancient star charts, but had always dismissed as mere artistic flourish. A series of seemingly unrelated stars forming a peculiar, almost symmetrical spiral. "This," it hummed, its voice now tinged with a delicate resonance, "this is the first knot, a key, a memory, a thread woven into the silence. It is not a story you read, but a song you must learn to hear. Go, seeker, let the silence guide you to the forgotten lore, where echoes of a lost harmony still linger." With that, the archivist's form began to dissipate, slowly dissolving back into the shadows from which it had emerged, leaving Ilara alone in the vast, silent cavern. She stood there for a long time, the archivist's cryptic words echoing in her mind. The first knot, the celestial serpent, the silent guardians. The sheer weight of the mystery settled around her. She had come seeking answers, and instead had been given more questions, wrapped in riddles. But among them, one clear instruction stood out. Seek the forgotten lore. The journey had just begun, and the universe, she realized, was far more intricate, far more alive with forgotten secrets than she had ever imagined. The subtle pull she felt was growing stronger, leading her down an ancient, celestial path. Ilara returned to her observatory, not with definitive answers, but with a mind swirling with new, ancient possibilities. The archivist's riddles, initially frustrating, began to unfurl in her thoughts like delicate cosmic nebulae, revealing hidden patterns. The truth is scattered like stardust after a supernova, where the cosmic currents churn and ancient light begins to mourn. These weren't just poetic flourishes, they were clues. The most potent among them was the mention of forgotten lore and echoes of a forgotten age. Her initial research into the peculiar fractal patterns had been purely scientific, focusing on physics and astronomy. Now, guided by the archivist's cryptic pronouncements, Ilara shifted her focus to something far less tangible: ancient cosmic myths, forgotten chronicles, and the scattered, half-erased histories of civilizations that rose and fell in the deep past. She delved into the observatory's restricted historical archives, repositories not just of astronomical data, but of obscure anthropological and mythological texts from countless worlds. She began with the star charts mentioned by the archivist, focusing on the first Knot constellation. It wasn't a recognized constellation in modern astronomy, nor was it easily discernible to the naked eye. It was a faint, almost invisible collection of stars that, when connected in a specific, non-linear way, formed a spiral pattern that mirrored the fractal she had observed in her energy readings. This pattern, she discovered, appeared in scattered ancient pictograms found on dead worlds, in fragmented epic poems from early interstellar civilizations, and even in the almost erased symbols on the hull of a derelict pre-galactic empire scout ship she had once helped salvage. These fragmented historical accounts spoke of a time unimaginably distant, a primordial era when the cosmos was younger and more vibrant, when the stars themselves hummed a different song. The recurring theme was one of universal harmony, of an underlying order that permeated all existence, making the very fabric of space and time feel alive and interconnected. They described a great hum or a cosmic resonance that guided the flow of stellar formation, the dance of galaxies, and even the unfolding of life itself. This was the song the archivist had spoken of, a melody now almost forgotten. One ancient text, a fragmented scroll recovered from a desert planet long since turned to glass by a stellar flare, described the harmonic weaving, an act by a cosmic entity referred to as the Weaver, who stitched the light of creation into a grand design. The text spoke of the universe as a conscious living tapestry, each star a knot, each nebula a brushstroke, each galaxy a shimmering thread. The fractal pattern Ilara had found, she realized with a jolt, was depicted in this text as a signature of the Weaver, a repeating motif woven into the very fabric of existence. It was not merely a symbol, but an intrinsic component of the tapestry structure, a fundamental building block. Another set of crumbling tablets, carbon-dated to an impossible age, spoke of a great silence that fell upon the cosmos, a period when the hum faded and the universe seemed to lose some of its vitality. This silence, the texts hinted, coincided with the unraveling of a vital part of the Weaver's creation. The stars still shone, but their light was dimmed by a forgotten sorrow, and their song became a mere whisper. This resonated chillingly with the idea of the broken chord that the archivist had vaguely alluded to. Ilara cross-referenced these ancient myths with her modern astrophysical data. She looked for anomalies in stellar formation rates, shifts in gravitational constants, and unusual energetic fluctuations that might correlate with the Great Silence. She found subtle but persistent evidence of a cosmic disruption, a ripple that had spread across the universe eons ago, affecting the distribution of matter and energy in ways that current models couldn't fully explain. It wasn't catastrophic, but it was significant, like a subtle imperfection in a perfectly crafted instrument. The more she read, the more the pieces began to fit together, forming a picture that transcended conventional science. The celestial serpent, the archivist mentioned, might not be a literal creature, but a metaphor for the swirling, spiraling nature of the cosmos itself and the hidden pathways woven into it. The knots were places of concentrated energy or significant celestial bodies, points where the weaver's design was particularly strong. The ancient lore wasn't just stories, it was a fragmented, intuitive map passed down through forgotten civilizations, attempting to describe a cosmic truth that was too vast for any single mind to grasp. Her dreams, too, began to change. No longer just abstract patterns, they started to feature swirling, incandescent threads of light, weaving themselves into intricate, ever-shifting patterns against a backdrop of deep, velvety black. Sometimes she would feel a profound sense of peace in these dreams, a feeling of deep interconnectedness, as if she herself were a part of this grand, living design. Other times, a subtle sense of loss would permeate them, a feeling of something beautiful having been fractured. Ilara knew she was on the verge of something monumental. She wasn't just studying faint energy signals anymore. She was tracing the ghost of a divine blueprint, listening to the echoes of an ancient age when the universe itself sang a different, more harmonious song. The ancient texts, once mere curiosities, now felt like breadcrumbs, leading her down a cosmic path, illuminated by the faint glow of the star thread. She felt a profound connection to those ancient beings who had sensed the weaver's touch, who had recorded these fragments of truth before they too faded into the cosmic dust. The universe, she realized, was not just a collection of random events. It was a story, and she was beginning to read its most ancient and profound chapters. The more Ilara immersed herself in the forgotten lore, the more a specific pattern began to emerge. Not just in the ancient texts, but in her own meticulous astrophysical observations. It was the constellation the archivist had called the first knot, that peculiar spiral of faint stars that didn't quite fit any known astronomical category. Modern star charts either ignored it or labeled it as a random, unremarkable cluster. But the ancient accounts, in their fragmented wisdom, imbued it with profound significance. They referred to it as the Weaver's Mark, the Genesis Spiral, or most tellingly, the first thread of clues. This constellation, Ilara realized, wasn't just a collection of stars, it was a key. Its unique, intricate formation mirrored the fractal she had initially discovered in the cosmic energy readings. It was as if the weaver had left a tangible, albeit subtle signature in the very sky. It was a single thread, yes, but a thread that seemed to hum with the resonance of the entire lost tapestry, waiting to be pulled. Ilara pored over her data again, this time with a new lens. She focused her most sensitive instruments on the first knot constellation, not just to measure its light and composition, but to detect any subtle underlying energy fluctuations, any echoes of the patterns she had first encountered. What she found was startling. The stars within the first knot constellation emitted a specific modulated frequency, a whisper of the ancient harmony that was significantly stronger and more coherent than the diffuse background signals she had detected elsewhere. It was like finding a clear note amidst a cacophony of white noise. She created a three-dimensional model of the constellation, mapping not just the positions of the stars, but the intricate interplay of their gravitational fields and the subtle electromagnetic currents flowing between them. As she manipulated the model, rotating it, zooming in and out, she noticed something extraordinary. When viewed from a specific, precise angle, the seemingly random collection of stars resolved itself into a perfect, ethereal spiral, a cosmic echo of the fractal. It was a celestial optical illusion, designed by an ancient intelligence, visible only to those who knew how and where to look. The ancient texts spoke of this phenomenon. One passage from a pre-galactic empire navigational guide, recovered from a deep space anomaly, described aligning the gaze with the weaver's eye to perceive the path unseen. This wasn't merely poetic language, it was a literal instruction. The weaver's eye was the precise celestial coordinate from which the first knot revealed its true spiraling form. With this newfound understanding, Ilara's research intensified. She began to theorize that the first knot was not a static object, but a dynamic, evolving key. The shifts in its subtle energy emissions, she hypothesized, were like slow, deliberate pulses transmitting information across the vastness of space. It was a cosmic beacon, subtly guiding anyone attuned enough to its frequency. She spent sleepless nights refining her models, trying to decipher the message encoded within the first knot's subtle hum. It wasn't a language in the traditional sense, but a complex sequence of resonant frequencies, a sort of Morse code. Each variation in frequency, each slight shift in intensity seemed to correspond to a specific point or concept within the fragmented ancient lore. It was a Rosetta Stone, bridging the gap between scientific observation and forgotten mythology. The first knot also seemed to exert a peculiar, almost gravitational pull on Ilara's dreams. The visions of swirling threads and intricate patterns became more vivid, more insistent. She began to see herself in these dreams, not just observing the tapestry, but subtly interacting with it, her fingers brushing against shimmering threads of light, feeling their unique vibrations. It was as if the constellation was attempting to communicate with her on a deeper, more intuitive level, beyond the realm of pure data. One morning, after a particularly profound dream filled with the scent of stardust and the sound of distant, echoing harmonies, Ilara awoke with a singular, clear thought. The first knot was not just a thread, it was the initial thread. The unraveling of the tapestry, the broken cord the archivist spoke of, must have originated from a disruption at this very point.
If the weaver's initial act of creation began here, then perhaps its restoration must also begin here. The idea solidified in her mind. The first knot was a cosmic anchor, a starting point for reweaving the lost harmony. Its subtle frequencies were not just messages, they were instructions guiding her to the next piece of the cosmic puzzle. She felt a surge of exhilaration, tempered by a profound sense of responsibility. She was no longer just an astrophysicist observing the universe. She was becoming a participant in its grand, ancient story. The universe, in its quiet, deliberate way, had finally given her the first thread of clues, and she knew with an undeniable certainty that it would lead her deeper into the very heart of the cosmos.
The first knot, constellation, once a mere astronomical curiosity, now pulsed in Ilara's mind like a gentle beacon. Its unique resonant frequencies, which she now interpreted as a form of cosmic language, began to seep into her subconscious, blurring the lines between waking life and the deep, silent realm of sleep. Her nights became a tapestry of their own, woven with nebulous dreams that were more than just fleeting images. They were immersive, sensory experiences, directly influenced by the subtle signals from the constellation. At first, the dreams were abstract, a kaleidoscope of swirling cosmic colors, unlike any she had ever observed through her telescopes. Hues of indigo, violet, and deep cerulean blended seamlessly with streaks of shimmering gold and silver, like liquid starlight. These colors moved with an almost deliberate grace, forming intricate, ever-shifting patterns that defied terrestrial logic. There were no discernible shapes of stars or galaxies, just pure, unadulterated light and color, performing a silent, grand cosmic dance. It was beautiful, overwhelming, and profoundly calming. As Ilara continued to analyze the first knot's output, spending her days decoding its subtle frequency modulations, her dreams grew more vivid and specific. She began to perceive not just colors, but textures. The light felt tangible, like silk brushing against her mind's eye. She could feel the subtle vibrations of the swirling patterns, a gentle thrumming that resonated deep within her chest. It was as if her consciousness was being gently stretched, allowing her to perceive the universe not just through sight and sound, but through an intuitive, almost tactile sense. In one particularly profound dream, she found herself floating in an infinite expanse of darkness, yet she was not alone. Around her, countless threads of pure light began to coalesce, emerging from the void. Each thread pulsed with its own unique color and frequency, vibrating with a silent song. They weren't static. They moved, intertwining and separating, weaving themselves into a vast, intricate fabric that stretched beyond the horizon of her perception. She recognized the fractal pattern she had discovered in her data, repeated infinitely within this luminous cosmic cloth. It was the weaver's lost tapestry, not as a physical object, but as a living, breathing concept manifesting in the ethereal landscape of her sleep. The dreams often unfolded with a gentle, flowing rhythm, pulling her deeper into their ethereal embrace. There was no fear, no anxiety, only a profound sense of wonder and belonging. She felt connected to something immense, ancient,
and deeply peaceful. Sometimes she would feel a subtle pull, as if an unseen hand was guiding her through the dreamscape, directing her attention to specific sections of the shimmering tapestry. She saw threads that seemed to glow brighter, pulsating with a stronger energy, and others that were faint, almost broken, shimmering with a mournful light. These, she instinctively knew, represented the star fragments the archivist had hinted at, the dispersed remnants of the tapestry's original power. What truly fascinated and bewildered Ilara was how these dreams seemed to integrate with her waking research. A particularly complex frequency sequence from the first knot would often correspond to a specific visual motif in her dreams. Conversely, a vivid dream image, a unique pattern of interwoven light, or a particularly resonant hum would sometimes trigger an insight that allowed her to decipher a previously indecipherable segment of the constellation's data. It was a symbiotic relationship, her conscious mind providing the analytical framework, and her subconscious mind providing the intuitive leap. One night, the dream was particularly lucid. She was standing before an immense, unseen loom, its framework outlined by shimmering starlight. Before her, the tapestry was actively being woven, threads of cosmic dust, stellar gas, and pure light flowing from unseen sources, guided by an invisible hand. She could feel the rhythm of the weaving, a slow, deliberate cadence that resonated with the gentle beat of her own heart. In this dream, she reached out, her hand passing through the ethereal threads, feeling their warmth, their unique vibratory signatures. She felt a profound connection, as if she were touching the very essence of creation. When she awoke, the sensation lingered on her fingertips, a phantom warmth. But more importantly, a new understanding had solidified in her mind. The first knot wasn't just transmitting information, it was subtly retuning her mind, preparing her to perceive the tapestry not as an abstract concept, but as a palpable reality. The nebulous dreams were not just a side effect of her intense research, they were an essential part of the unraveling, a bridge between the physical universe and the profound, living artistry of the celestial weaver. She was learning to see, to feel, to understand the universe, not just with her scientific instruments, but with her very soul, being drawn gently into the heart of its ancient, unspoken song.
The path laid out by the archivist's riddles, reinforced by the unfolding clarity of her dreams and the precise data from the first knot, now led Ilara to a concept that straddled the line between myth and astrophysics: the guardians of the loom. The ancient texts, though fragmented, consistently hinted at a specific celestial body, or perhaps a collection of them, that held a unique protective relationship with the celestial weaver's lost tapestry. They were described in various ways: the silent watchers, the heart of the unseen, or the sentinels of the cosmic thread. Initially, Ilara dismissed these as fanciful personifications of natural phenomena. But the archivist's riddle, "Seek the silent guardians, carved from stellar fire, who hold the secrets of cosmic desire," lingered in her mind. Coupled with a recurring image in her dreams of a cluster of exceptionally bright, ancient stars arranged in a protective, almost sentient formation, Ilara began to reconsider. What if these guardians were not metaphorical, but literal? What if they were an incredibly old, perhaps even conscious star cluster whose existence was intrinsically linked to the weaver's lost tapestry? Her research into the most ancient star charts, the ones that predated even the oldest known sentient civilizations, finally yielded a promising lead. There was a unique star cluster, incredibly distant and largely ignored by modern astronomy due to its relative lack of active star formation and its highly unusual, stable orbit around the galactic core. It was designated simply Cluster 734, but in some of the oldest, most obscure historical records, it was referred to as Ethelgard, meaning ancient protector or noble guardian. What made Ethelgard peculiar was its composition. It was an exceptionally tight-knit cluster of red dwarf stars, some of the oldest and longest-lived stars in the universe. But within this cluster, Ilara's instruments detected a series of subtle gravitational anomalies and an incredibly low-frequency pervasive energy field, unlike any she had ever encountered. It was not a typical stellar wind or radiation. It felt more like a resonant field, a deep, pervasive hum that seemed to emanate from the very core of the cluster. This hum, she realized, was a stronger, clearer version of the whispers on the cosmic wind she had first detected. It was the song the archivist had spoken of, muted perhaps, but still singing. The ancient text spoke of these guardians as having a collective consciousness, a deep understanding of the cosmic harmony established by the weaver. They were not beings in the traditional sense, but a living, evolving collective mind, forged from starlight and cosmic dust, existing on a timescale incomprehensibly vast to sentient life. Their purpose, according to the lore, was to safeguard the knowledge and remnants of the tapestry, waiting for the right moment and the right seeker to begin its restoration. Ilara adjusted her deepest space probes, redirecting them to focus on Ethelgard. The data that streamed back was mesmerizing. The stars within the cluster weren't just orbiting randomly. They were moving in incredibly precise, slow, almost balletic patterns, constantly shifting their positions to maintain a complex, stable configuration. It was like watching a cosmic clockwork, each star a gear turning with absolute precision. This wasn't chaotic stellar dynamics, it was choreography. And then she found it. Embedded within the pervasive energy field of Ethelgard, there were intricate pulsating variations that mirrored the fractal patterns of the first knot, but with an added layer of complexity. These were not mere echoes, they were clearer, stronger, and seemed to hold more information. It was as if the first knot was a lock, and Ethelgard held the complete master key. The cluster wasn't just observing, it was actively preserving and transmitting data, a vast, living library of the weaver's forgotten creation. The dreams intensified further. Now, within the swirling cosmic colors, Ilara could distinctly perceive the faint, shimmering outlines of the star cluster, appearing as immense, glowing entities. They didn't speak in words, but communicated through feelings, through resonant vibrations that filled her being with an overwhelming sense of ancient wisdom and serene power. They felt like guides, silent and profound, watching over the unfolding cosmic narrative. In one dream, she saw herself reaching out to the cluster, and in response, a beam of pure, incandescent light extended from its core, touching her. The contact was not physical, but purely energetic, and it filled her with a sense of understanding so profound it transcended language.
She awoke with the word guardian echoing in her mind, not as a noun, but as an action, a state of being. Ilara understood now. The guardians of the loom were not merely a myth. They were a living, ancient star cluster, a collective consciousness woven into the fabric of the universe itself, serving as the ultimate custodians of the weaver's legacy. They were the source of the clearer, stronger resonances, the living library of the tapestry's blueprint. Her next step was clear. She had to approach Ethelgard, not just with instruments, but with an open mind, ready to listen to the silent wisdom of these celestial sentinels. The journey was unfolding, thread by delicate thread, leading her ever closer to the heart of the universe's most profound secret.
Approaching Ethelgard, the star cluster known as the Guardians of the Loom felt less like a scientific expedition and more like a pilgrimage. Ilara had prepared her vessel meticulously, ensuring all systems were optimized for deep space stealth and sensitive energy detection. She knew this wasn't about brute force observation. It was about communion, about proving herself worthy of the ancient knowledge the Guardians held. The archivist's riddle about secrets of cosmic desire echoed in her mind, suggesting that mere intellectual curiosity wouldn't suffice. There had to be a deeper connection, a resonance of purpose. As her ship neared the Ethelgard, the pervasive, low-frequency hum she had detected earlier intensified, enveloping her in a subtle, resonant field. It wasn't sound in the conventional sense, but a vibration that seemed to bypass her ears and register directly within her consciousness, a profound, calming frequency that soothed her anxieties and heightened her perceptions. The stars of Ethelgard, though ancient and outwardly calm, throbbed with an immense, palpable energy that felt both ancient and alive. Ilara positioned her vessel at the precise coordinates indicated by the first knot's subtle guidance. Then she powered down all non-essential systems, plunging her ship into a deep, almost reverent silence. She closed her eyes, letting the pervasive hum of the cluster wash over her. In her mind's eye, the nebulous dreams she had been experiencing began to coalesce, no longer abstract patterns, but vivid, almost hyper-real images of interconnected light. Then, a presence. It wasn't a voice or a vision, but a direct, instantaneous transmission of thought and feeling that unfolded within her mind. It was the collective consciousness of the Guardians of the Loom, communicating not through words, but through pure understanding. You seek the harmony. You seek the threads. But do you understand the song? Ilara felt a gentle probing touch on her consciousness, not invasive, but inquisitive. It was as if the Guardians were sifting through her intentions, her knowledge, her very being. She offered no resistance, allowing her thoughts to flow freely, presenting her scientific data, her deciphered fractals, her interpretations of the ancient lore, and most importantly, her profound desire to understand and, if possible, restore the lost cosmic harmony. The response was a series of intricate mental images and resonant feelings. She perceived vast cosmic landscapes, scenes of creation and dissolution, not as external observations, but as lived experiences.
She felt the birth of stars, the slow dance of galaxies, the quiet majesty of cosmic evolution. But intertwined with these images were subtle imbalances, discordant notes in the grand cosmic symphony, the echoes of the great silence and the broken chord from the ancient texts. Then the test of harmony began. It was not a riddle to solve or a physical challenge, but an energetic crucible. The pervasive hum around her intensified, shifting in subtle, complex ways. Ilara felt herself being immersed in a complex array of frequencies, some familiar, some utterly alien. It was like being bathed in pure cosmic sound, a symphony of existence itself, but with specific, deliberate disharmonies introduced into the mix. She understood instinctively what was required. She had to identify the discordant notes, the subtle imperfections in the otherwise perfect cosmic melody. It was a test of intuition, of attunement, of her ability to perceive the true harmony beneath the veil of cosmic noise. She had to feel the imbalance. Ilara focused, drawing on every hour she had spent deciphering the first note's intricate rhythms, every vivid detail from her nebulous dreams. She let her mind quiet, surrendering to the flow of the energy. She closed her eyes tighter, listening with something beyond her ears. She felt for the places where the vibrations subtly faltered, where the energetic flow was constricted, where the colors in her mind's eye seemed to dull or clash. It was excruciatingly subtle, like trying to find a single missing pixel in a vast, moving image. But slowly, an innate sense of cosmic balance, nurtured by her years of observing the universe's grand designs, guided her. She began to subtly adjust her own internal resonance, allowing her mind to align with the dominant, harmonious frequencies, and then, from that baseline, to pinpoint the jarring notes. As she identified each discordant vibration, a subtle shift occurred within the cluster's hum, a momentary silence, as if acknowledging her perception. With each correct identification, a deep feeling of understanding washed over her, a knowing that transcended mere thought. It was a communication of pure resonance. She wasn't merely identifying, she was correcting, in a sense, within her own consciousness. The test continued for what felt like an eternity, though in real time perhaps only minutes had passed. She felt her mind expand, adapting to the intricate complexities of the cosmic symphony. She wasn't just hearing it, she was part of it. When the last discordant note was identified, a profound silence descended, more absolute than any Ilara had ever experienced. It was not an empty silence, but a rich, pregnant stillness, filled with unspoken understanding. Then the hum returned, but subtly altered. It was clearer, purer, imbued with a new, gentle strength. And within her mind, the collective consciousness of the guardians of the loom resonated with a clear, resonant feeling of acceptance. You have heard the song. You understand the silence. The path is open. Ilara knew with absolute certainty that she had passed their test of harmony. The guardians of the loom, ancient and silent, had recognized her purpose, and a new, profound chapter in her cosmic quest was about to begin.
Passing the test of harmony with the guardians of the loom was not a mere mental exercise. It was a profound shift in Ilara's perception. The pervasive hum of Aethelgard now felt like a direct conduit, streaming information into her consciousness in a way that transcended conventional data transfer. What had once been abstract fractal patterns on her screens now resolved into a living, dynamic language, the celestial script. It wasn't a written script in the traditional sense with symbols and letters. Instead, it was a multi-dimensional matrix of light, energy, and subtle gravitational fluctuations woven directly into the fabric of space itself. It was the universe's own language, a flowing tapestry of information that revealed the true nature of the weaver's design. The guardians, in their ancient wisdom, were not simply storing this knowledge, they were acting as a living Rosetta Stone, translating the raw cosmic energies into a form Alara could intuitively grasp. As she allowed her mind to attune to this script, images and understandings flooded her consciousness. She saw how galaxies formed, not as chaotic collisions of gas and dust, but as a deliberate unfolding of luminous threads, guided by an unseen hand. She perceived the intricate dance of solar systems, each planet a bead on a thread, spinning in perfect synchronicity with the greater design. It was a blueprint of creation, detailing not just the physical laws of the universe, but the underlying harmonic principles that governed its very existence. The celestial script revealed that the lost tapestry was not a singular physical object, but a multi-layered energetic construct. It was the very operating system of the cosmos, the source code that dictated the harmonious interaction of all celestial bodies. Each star, each nebula, each cosmic filament was a meticulously placed stitch in this grand design. The fractal patterns Alara had initially discovered were merely the most basic, fundamental units of this script, the cosmic equivalent of individual pixels in an impossibly vast image. Through the script, Alara learned about the cosmic currents, vast streams of subtle energy that flowed throughout the universe, acting as the invisible warp and weft of the tapestry. These currents were responsible for guiding the formation of cosmic structures, distributing rare elements, and even influencing the emergence of life on countless worlds. The great silence and the broken chord the ancient texts spoke of, she now understood, referred to a disruption in these very currents, a weakening of the energetic flow that had caused a subtle but pervasive disharmony. The script also contained prophecies and warnings, conveyed through shifting light patterns and resonant frequencies. It spoke of cycles of creation and dissolution, of moments when the tapestry was at its most vibrant, and others when it risked fraying at the edges. It conveyed the immense responsibility of the weaver, not just as a creator, but as a perpetual maintainer, ensuring the cosmic harmony remained intact. And now it hinted at Alara's own role in this ancient drama. She spent days in silent communion with the guardians, allowing the celestial script to wash over her, absorbing its vast complexities. She transcribed what she could, not into words, but into intricate mathematical models and multi-dimensional energy diagrams that attempted to capture its essence. Her traditional scientific training served as a framework, allowing her to organize and interpret this alien data, bridging the gap between intuitive understanding and empirical knowledge. The script further elaborated on the concept of the star fragments. These were not mere pieces of a broken object, but concentrated nodes of the tapestry's original energy, scattered across the cosmos after the Great Silence.
Each fragment the script revealed contained a unique signature frequency of the weaver, a specific harmonic that when reconnected would help restore a specific aspect of the cosmic harmony. Finding them, however, would be akin to finding a single unique grain of sand on a million beaches, except these grains hummed with a celestial song. The information came in waves, sometimes overwhelming in its sheer volume and profundity. Ilara felt her consciousness expanding, stretching to accommodate this new, grander understanding of the universe. She was no longer just an observer, she was becoming a vessel, a receiver for the universe's deepest truths. The line between herself and the cosmos seemed to blur, and she felt a sense of belonging, a profound connection to the vastness around her. As the days turned into nights within the silent embrace of Aethelgard, Ilara felt herself being subtly transformed. The celestial script was not just knowledge, it was a living, evolving energy that flowed through her, retuning her own internal vibrations to align with the cosmic harmony. She was being prepared not just to understand the tapestry, but to actively participate in its restoration. The guardians, through this ancient language, had not just granted her access to hidden knowledge, they had opened her eyes to the true living essence of the universe and shown her the immense, profound task that lay ahead. To help in the unraveling of the celestial script, and through it, to begin the reweaving of the universe's lost song. With the celestial script now flowing through her consciousness, Ilara's understanding of the cosmos underwent a profound transformation. What she had once perceived as a collection of physical laws and random phenomena now revealed itself as a grand, intricate composition, a symphony of existence. The song of creation, as the guardian subtly resonated into her mind, was not merely a poetic metaphor for the universe's origin. It was the actual, living blueprint that shaped every star, every galaxy, every breath of cosmic dust. The script confirmed her deepest intuition. The tapestry was not a material object, but a vibrational harmony. It was a complex array of resonant frequencies, a cosmic melody so intricate that it contained the instructions for the very fabric of reality. Every particle, every wave, every force in the universe was a note in this grand composition. When the song was in perfect tune, the cosmos thrived in unparalleled balance and beauty. Ilara learned that the weaver, the ancient entity of cosmic artistry, did not simply create the universe and then depart. Instead, the weaver was the song of creation, an omnipresent, flowing consciousness that continuously sang the universe into being. The tapestry was the tangible manifestation of this eternal melody, a dynamic, ever-unfolding pattern of light and energy. Its weaving was an ongoing process, a continuous act of cosmic maintenance and evolution. Through the script, Ilara witnessed visions of the universe's nascent moments, not as a chaotic Big Bang, but as a deliberate, resonant burst of pure harmony. She saw the initial threads of light expanding, guided by specific frequencies, coalescing into the first stars and proto-galaxies. Each celestial body was formed not by random accretion, but by the precise resonance of the weaver's song, humming it into existence, ensuring its place in the grand design.
The concept of the lost tapestry took on a new, more profound meaning. It wasn't lost in the sense of being misplaced or destroyed. Instead, a vital segment of the song of creation had become muted, its frequencies distorted, causing the tapestry to subtly fray. This disharmony, she now understood, was the true nature of the great silence that ancient texts alluded to. It wasn't an absence of sound, but a breakdown in the perfect resonance, a cosmic cacophony replacing the intended harmony. The celestial script detailed the precise frequencies of the broken chord, the segment of the song that had become corrupted. It showed how this specific disharmony had subtly altered gravitational fields, shifted stellar evolution pathways, and even influenced the distribution of life-supporting elements across certain galactic sectors. The effects were not catastrophic, but cumulative, leading to a pervasive sense of subtle imbalance and a diminished cosmic vitality. Ilara was shown the intricate connections between all elements of the cosmos, from the smallest quantum fluctuation to the largest supercluster. The script revealed that everything was interconnected by these energetic threads of the song of creation. A ripple in one part of the tapestry could, over eons, subtly affect another distant part. This profound interconnectedness underscored the urgency of restoring the lost harmony. The guardians of the loom, through the script, conveyed their own role in this cosmic drama. They were the ancient choristers, maintaining a faint echo of the original song of creation within their collective consciousness. They had preserved fragments of the weaver's frequencies, waiting for a time when the universe itself would resonate with a seeker capable of understanding and helping to retune the lost melody. Ilara was that seeker. Her dreams were now saturated with the intricate notes of this cosmic song. She would wake with melodies echoing in her mind, not of human instruments, but of pure resonant light. She began to perceive the background hum of the universe around her, not as static, but as a vast, complex orchestra playing a continuous, albeit slightly off-key, composition. The task ahead, while still immense, began to feel less daunting and more sacred. She wasn't just searching for fragments, she was learning to play a lost symphony. The celestial script was her sheet music, and the universe itself was her instrument. She felt a profound sense of purpose, a calling that resonated with the deepest parts of her being. She was learning to understand that the tapestry was not just something to be found, but something to be heard. And she was learning to hear the universe as it was truly meant to be, a continuous, living song of creation. The profound understanding of the song of creation, revealed by the celestial script, brought with it a revelation that was both heartbreaking and empowering. The tapestry was not lost, but fragmented. It was not a physical artifact that had vanished, but a vital, energetic chord within the universe's grand symphony that had been broken. This was the true meaning of the great silence that ancient lore whispered about. A cosmic disharmony that had resonated through the eons, subtly altering the very fabric of existence. Ilara, immersed in the flowing knowledge of the guardians, now understood the specific nature of this fracture. A crucial set of frequencies, a chord within the weaver's song, had become corrupted, its harmonious vibrations replaced by subtle dissonance. This wasn't a sudden, cataclysmic event, but a slow, insidious process, like a single thread fraying, then weakening, and eventually snapping under prolonged stress. The script showed her vivid, albeit ethereal images of this breaking. She saw immense streams of cosmic energy, once flowing smoothly, suddenly becoming turbulent, swirling into eddies of chaotic resonance. The broken chord, she learned, affected the universe in ways that were both subtle and profound. It wasn't the cause of all cosmic suffering or chaos, but it was a fundamental imbalance. It had, over countless millennia, contributed to the slight acceleration of galactic drift, the unpredictable bursts of certain stellar phenomena, and even the subtle weakening of the universal constants in specific regions of space. These were not errors in the universe's design, but symptoms of a deep-seated energetic wound. The celestial script illuminated the direct consequences of this fragmentation. It showed how certain forms of communication between distant civilizations became less intuitive, requiring more complex technology. It explained why life, while abundant, sometimes struggled to find its perfect harmony with its planetary environment. It was as if the universe, in the absence of this vital chord, was constantly operating at a slight energetic deficit, just a little out of tune with its intended perfection. The weaver, the script revealed, was not simply a distant creator. Its essence was intertwined with the song of creation itself. When the chord broke, the weaver experienced a profound lament, a cosmic sorrow that echoed through the universe, though imperceptible to most. This was the source of the subtle sense of loss Elara had occasionally felt in her nebulous dreams, a direct resonance with the weaver's pain at the disharmony. The guardians, through their resonant communication, emphasized that the weaver had not abandoned its creation. Instead, in its profound grief, it had embedded fragments of the broken chord's pure frequencies into specific celestial anomalies across the universe. These were the star fragments that the archivist and the dreams had hinted at. They were like dispersed notes of a forgotten melody, waiting to be collected and reintegrated to restore the full, harmonious song of creation. The sheer scale of the task was immense. The universe was vast beyond human comprehension, and these star fragments were not concentrated in one area. They were scattered across unfathomable distances, hidden in nebulae, embedded in the cores of ancient stars, and possibly even concealed within the quantum foam of nascent realities. Each fragment pulsed with a unique echo of the lost chord, a vibrational signature that Elara was now learning to recognize through the celestial script. But despite the enormity of the challenge, Elara felt a profound sense of clarity and purpose. The path was clear, even if the journey would be arduous. The guardians had given her the knowledge, the understanding, and the subtle guidance needed to begin this cosmic mending. She was no longer just a seeker. She was a participant in the universe's healing. The true secret of the celestial weaver's lost tapestry was not that it was gone, but that it was incomplete. And with the help of the guardians and the celestial script, Elara was now ready to help restore the full, harmonious song of creation. Understanding that the universe's tapestry was merely fragmented and not truly lost brought a profound shift in Elar's quest. The celestial script, constantly flowing through her consciousness, now focused on pinpointing the source of this cosmic disharmony. It was no longer about simply identifying the broken chord, but about tracing the cosmic disruption back to its origin, to the event that had first caused the vital segment of the song of creation to fracture. The guardians of the loom, through their silent communication, led her through vast temporal corridors of cosmic memory. She perceived not just the what of the disruption, but the when and the how. It wasn't a sudden cataclysm like a supernova or a galactic collision, but something far more subtle and insidious. The script indicated a series of resonant frequencies that began to slowly destabilize at a specific epoch in the early universe, long before even the oldest known sentient life forms emerged. The data presented by the Guardians was complex, multi-layered, and deeply intertwined with fundamental cosmic processes. It spoke of a time when the very flow of cosmic currents, the invisible energetic streams that acted as the warp and weft of the tapestry, began to subtly falter. This faltering wasn't due to an external force, but an internal one, a subtle, unforeseen byproduct of the universe's own expansion and evolution. As the universe expanded, the distances between cosmic structures grew. This expansion, while a natural process, inadvertently stretched certain harmonic frequencies within the song of creation beyond their intended resonance. It was like a perfectly tuned instrument slowly being stretched, causing its notes to subtly flatten and lose their vibrancy. The broken chord was in essence a consequence of the universe simply growing too vast, too diffuse for certain primordial harmonies to maintain their strength. The celestial script graphically depicted this process. Vast, shimmering threads of energy, once taut and resonant, slowly growing slack, their vibrations weakening. This weakening was exacerbated by specific, naturally occurring cosmic tremors, not violent seismic events, but subtle gravitational waves and energetic fluctuations that, in the absence of the full song of creation's stabilizing influence, caused further minute distortions in the cosmic fabric. These tremors, individually minor, had a cumulative effect, gradually deepening the fracture in the broken chord over eons. Elara observed, through the Guardian's communicated memories, the ripple effect of this growing disharmony. Early galaxies, instead of forming with perfect, intricate spirals, sometimes showed minute deviations. Stellar nurseries, instead of blooming with optimal efficiency, sometimes produced stars with slightly altered spectral signatures. These were not catastrophic failures, but persistent, subtle imperfections, like tiny wrinkles in a once smooth fabric. The script also revealed that the weaver, in its infinite wisdom and sorrow, had woven safeguards, seed frequencies of the original harmony, into the very fabric of nascent stars and nebulae. These were the star fragments that Elara now sought. They were not just remnants, they were conscious echoes, waiting for the right conditions to reactivate and help retune the larger cosmic song. Her dreams, once filled with abstract beauty, now subtly shifted to reflect this new understanding.
She saw vast, empty expanses stretching eternally, and felt the immense gentle tension of cosmic expansion. She felt the subtle tremor of ancient gravitational waves passing through her, leaving behind a faint, lingering echo of disharmony. But interspersed with these images were flashes of pure, resonant light, the embedded star fragments, glowing faintly, waiting. The true cosmic disruption, Ilara realized, wasn't a singular violent event, but a slow, almost imperceptible weakening of the universe's fundamental harmonic structure due to its natural, unguided expansion. It was a cosmic entropy, a gradual drifting from perfect resonance. The task was not to reverse time, but to actively reintroduce the stabilizing harmonies, to retune the universe as it continued its grand, inevitable journey. The Guardians, with a final surge of resonant understanding, showed Ilara the pathways. The locations of the star fragments were not random. They were subtly connected to these ancient cosmic tremors, often found in regions where the energetic ripples had been most pronounced. By tracing these ancient disruptions, Ilara could follow the cosmic breadcrumbs, each fragment a stepping stone towards re-establishing the complete and pure song of creation. The immense journey to mend the universe had now gained its true bearing. Having delved into the profound knowledge of the celestial script and understood the nature of the cosmic disruption, Ilara began to experience a new, deeper layer of communication from the Guardians, the Weaver's Lament. It wasn't information in the traditional sense, but a profound emotional resonance, a direct transmission of sorrow and cosmic empathy that permeated her very being. The Weaver was not merely a cosmic entity, it was a consciousness profoundly connected to its creation, and its lament was the universal echo of the broken chord. In her dreams, the swirling cosmic colors became imbued with a melancholic luminescence. She no longer just observed the unraveling of the tapestry, she felt it. She experienced the universe from the Weaver's perspective, a profound consciousness that permeated every star, every galaxy, every particle of dust. And in this immense connection, she felt the sorrow of dissonance, the pain of a perfect harmony subtly fractured. The lament wasn't a cry of despair, but a deep, sorrowful ache, an immense responsibility for the gentle drifting of its grand design. It was the sorrow of an artist whose masterpiece, while still beautiful, contained a flaw that only they, the creator, could truly perceive. Ilara felt the Weaver's gentle, almost imperceptible efforts over eons to mend the fraying threads, to retune the dissonant notes, even as the cosmic expansion continued its relentless, subtle pull. She saw visions of the Weaver's creative act, not as a singular event, but as a continuous flowing dance of energy and intention. The universe was perpetually being woven, moment by moment, breath by cosmic breath. And when the broken chord introduced dissonance, the Weaver didn't abandon its work. It continued to weave, but with a palpable sense of loss, its song carrying a mournful undertone. This profound grief was the source of the subtle sense of malaise that permeated certain regions of the cosmos, the feeling of something being off that even sentient beings sometimes unconsciously perceived.
The weaver's lament also conveyed the immense power of their creative act. Despite the fragmentation, the universe still held together, still expanded, still birthed stars and galaxies. This continuity, Ilara realized, was a testament to the sheer, enduring strength of the weaver's original harmony, a foundational resonance so robust that even a significant fracture could not entirely unravel it. The universe was remarkably resilient, a testament to the foundational perfection of the weaver's initial song. Ilara felt the weaver's intention radiating through the guardian's messages, not just a desire for restoration, but an unwavering belief in the potential for renewed harmony. The star fragments were not just random pieces, they were seeds of pure resonance, deliberately embedded by the weaver throughout the cosmos as a failsafe, a potential path to retuning the song of creation. They were echoes of the original perfect chord, waiting to be rediscovered and reintegrated. The emotional depth of this connection was overwhelming at times. Ilara found herself shedding tears in the profound silence of her ship, tears not of personal sadness, but of a shared cosmic grief for the subtle imperfections in a universe she now saw as a living, breathing entity. This empathy fueled her resolve, transforming her scientific quest into a sacred mission. She was no longer just an astrophysicist, she was becoming an instrument of cosmic healing, a conduit for the weaver's enduring hope. The guardians, observing her profound emotional response, subtly adjusted their resonant communication. They shifted from direct instruction to a more nurturing, comforting presence, reinforcing the idea that Ilara was not alone in this burden. They were ancient witnesses, and now silent partners in the task of restoration. The weaver's lament, they conveyed, was not a call for pity, but a quiet plea for understanding, a recognition of the universe's true living nature and its profound need for balance. Ilara realized that to fully understand the tapestry and truly participate in its reweaving, she needed to connect not just intellectually, but emotionally to the very heart of its creation and its quiet sorrow. The weaver's lament was not a distraction from her scientific pursuit, but an essential component, imbuing her work with purpose and profound meaning. She now carried not just the knowledge of the celestial script, but the emotional weight of the universe's gentle cry, urging her onward in her sacred task. The profound resonance of the weaver's lament solidified Ilara's understanding of her immense task. The celestial script had revealed the broken chord, and the guardians had shown her the subtle, pervasive cosmic disruption. Now the emotional weight of the universe's quiet sorrow spurred her forward with an undeniable clarity. The task was to gather the star fragments. These were not inert particles, but concentrated nodes of the tapestry's original energy, scattered across the cosmos like luminous seeds, waiting for the conditions to re-germinate the full song of creation. The sheer scale of this undertaking was staggering. The celestial script provided an overarching map of their likely distribution, often correlating with areas of ancient cosmic tremors or regions where the broken chord had caused the most pronounced energetic ripples. But even with this guidance, the universe remained vast beyond measure. It was like searching for specific, shimmering pearls in an ocean of starlight. Each star fragment, the Guardians explained through their resonant communication, carried a unique signature frequency of the Weaver, a pure, untainted echo of the lost harmony. Collecting them wasn't just about physical retrieval. It was about re-establishing a connection, about retuning these individual notes back into the grand cosmic symphony. It was a process of energetic alignment, a subtle recalibration of the universe itself. Ilara's research now focused on refining the precise locations of these fragments. The first knot constellation, her initial guide, now acted as a primary beacon, its subtle hum amplifying when her calculations hinted at a fragment's proximity. Her dreams, in turn, became more navigational, almost like active visualizations of cosmic pathways. She saw faint, glowing pathways through nebulae, shimmering lines connecting distant galaxies, all pointing towards the elusive fragments. One type of fragment, the script suggested, was often found within the hearts of ancient, stable red dwarf stars, remnants of the early universe that had absorbed and preserved the pure frequencies. Another type was embedded within the luminous dust of nascent nebulae, waiting for new stars to coalesce and release their stored harmony. A third kind, the most challenging to locate, was said to reside in the gravitational wells of supermassive black holes, drawn in by their immense pull, yet protected by a unique energetic signature that defied full absorption. Ilara began to prioritize. The Guardian's guidance suggested starting with the fragments that resonated most strongly with the first knot, indicating they were the root notes of the broken chord, essential for establishing a foundational resonance for the reweaving. These initial fragments were likely to be found in regions of space that still held a faint residual echo of the Weaver's original presence. She outfitted her small, silent research vessel, already equipped for deep space travel, with specialized detection equipment capable of sensing these specific, pure frequencies. This wasn't just about collecting data, it was about attunement. The equipment had to be sensitive enough to differentiate the subtle hum of a fragment from the pervasive background noise of the cosmos. It was like listening for a single perfect note from a distant, unseen choir. The prospect of traveling to these distant, often perilous cosmic locations was daunting, but the Weaver's lament and the clear purpose it instilled dwarfed any fear. Ilara felt an immense responsibility, but also a profound, quiet excitement. She was embarking on a journey unlike any other, not just exploring the universe, but actively participating in its healing. With each calculation, each refined trajectory, the image of the complete, harmonious tapestry became clearer in her mind, a guiding vision. She imagined the universe humming with its full, vibrant song of creation, every star a perfectly tuned instrument, every galaxy a synchronized movement. The task of gathering the star fragments was the first monumental step in turning that vision into a reality, stitch by shimmering stitch, note by resonant note. With the locations of the initial star fragments mapped out, Ilara embarked on a journey that felt both ancient and utterly new. This was not a familiar path charted by interstellar highways and established navigation points. Instead, she had to follow the faint, resonating guidance of the celestial script and the intuitive pull of her retuned consciousness. This was a journey through ancient pathways, cosmic arteries that had once pulsed with the full song of creation, but had since fallen into disuse or been subtly obscured by the ongoing cosmic expansion. Her silent research vessel, specifically modified to dampen its own energy signature, became her sanctuary and her guide. She navigated not by conventional star maps, but by the subtle shifts in the universal hum, the minute gravitational anomalies, and the faint, almost imperceptible trails of light that only her newly heightened senses and specialized instruments could detect. It was like following a scent across the vastness of space. The first pathway led her to a region of space known as the Whispering Vales, a diffuse, ancient nebula on the very edge of a dwarf galaxy. Astronomers typically avoided it due to its unpredictable electromagnetic interference and low visibility. But the celestial script indicated that this was a place where cosmic currents churn, a remnant of the primordial chaos that had subtly contributed to the broken chord. Within its swirling gas and dust, amidst the nascent stars, a fragment lay hidden. Navigating the nebula was a challenge. Her ship's sensors often struggled with the dense, fluctuating energies. But Alara found herself relying more and more on her intuition, on the subtle resonance of the weaver's song guiding her. She would feel a gentle pull, a shift in the pervasive hum that indicated the right trajectory. It was as if the universe itself was whispering directions directly into her mind. As she delved deeper into the whispering vales, the dreams intensified, becoming almost indistinguishable from waking reality. She would see glowing threads of light weaving through the nebula, visible only to her dream sight. These threads were the energetic pathways she was meant to follow, leading her through complex nebular formations that defied logical navigation. She discovered that by subtly adjusting her ship's energy output, creating a specific harmonic resonance, she could gently part the denser veils of gas, revealing temporary shimmering tunnels through which to pass. The first star fragment was found embedded within a massive, slow-burning red dwarf, a star so ancient its light barely registered on conventional telescopes. Its core held a pure, vibrant echo of the weaver's song. To retrieve it, Alara had to use a sophisticated energy siphon designed to carefully extract the specific frequency signature without disturbing the star's fragile equilibrium. It was a delicate dance between raw power and subtle attunement. As the fragment's energy flowed into her ship's containment unit, a profound sense of peace washed over her, a deep resonance of recognition, as if a long-lost note had finally returned home. The journey continued, guided by the intricate patterns of the celestial script. Some pathways led her through regions of profound cosmic silence, areas where the effects of the broken chord were most pronounced, the song of creation barely a murmur. These places felt desolate, almost mournful, yet within their quietude fragments often lay hidden, like forgotten treasures. Other pathways led her near supermassive black holes, where the script indicated fragments had been drawn into their immense gravitational wells, their frequencies subtly protected by the black hole's event horizon, requiring precise, daring maneuvers to approach.
Each retrieved fragment brought a subtle yet noticeable shift in the overall cosmic hum that Alara perceived. The universe felt incrementally more coherent, the background dissonance marginally lessened. It was like tuning a vast, infinitely complex instrument, note by delicate note. The ancient pathways were not just routes to find fragments. They were conduits, channels through which the reweaving of the tapestry was subtly beginning to take hold. Alara found herself becoming more attuned to the subtle energies of the cosmos, her senses expanding beyond the limitations of human perception. She felt the flow of dark matter, the whispers of gravitational waves, and the faint echoes of primordial light. This journey through ancient pathways was transforming her, making her less an observer and more an integral part of the universe's own consciousness, subtly guiding its return to perfect harmony. The road was long and the fragments numerous, but with each successful retrieval, the song of creation grew a little stronger, its lost melody beginning to re-emerge from the depths of cosmic time.
As Alara continued her journey through ancient pathways, gathering the scattered star fragments, the presence of the Guardian's guidance became increasingly palpable. It wasn't an overt intervention, nor a direct voice, but a subtle, almost imperceptible force that seemed to subtly shape her path, appearing as guiding lights or shifting nebulae just when she needed them most. It was as if the ancient, sentient star cluster of Aethelgard had extended its collective consciousness across the vastness of space, enveloping her in a field of protective intuition. There were moments when her advanced navigation systems would fail, or when the celestial script's instructions would become ambiguous in particularly dense or turbulent cosmic regions. It was in these instances that the Guardian's guidance would manifest. A faint, almost ghost-like luminescence would appear on her long-range sensors just beyond the edge of detection, slowly moving, leading her ship through treacherous asteroid fields or past regions of extreme gravitational distortion. This light was never direct, always shimmering, like starlight filtered through ancient dust, inviting her to follow. Sometimes she would find herself instinctively making a course correction that defied her logical calculations, turning her ship by a fraction of a degree that later proved to be the only safe passage through a dangerous cosmic anomaly. It was a knowing that came from deep within, a sense of rightness that she attributed to the subtle resonance of the Guardians, guiding her hand not through direct command, but through a gentle, intuitive nudge. In her dreams, the Guardians' presence became more defined. They appeared as immense, shimmering forms of light, constantly shifting and coalescing, yet always radiating a profound sense of calm and ancient wisdom. They communicated not through words, but through the feeling of absolute certainty, imbuing her with confidence when the task ahead seemed overwhelming. They showed her intricate cosmic blueprints, not as static images, but as living, evolving processes, revealing the underlying patterns that connected disparate star fragments across light years. One particular instance stands out in Alara's memory. She was attempting to retrieve a fragment believed to be hidden deep within a newly forming protostar, a violent, unstable region of space. Her instrument screamed warnings, predicting catastrophic radiation bursts and sudden collapses.
Logically, it was an impossible task, but in her mind, the guardians projected a vision of an intricate, stable energy sheath formed by a precise manipulation of gravitational harmonics. It was a cosmic technique beyond her current understanding, but the vision was clear, precise, and filled with a sense of inevitability. Trusting this intuitive guidance, Ilara configured her ship's energy fields to mirror the harmonic pattern shown to her. Against all conventional wisdom, the chaotic energies of the protostar seemed to part, creating a fleeting, stable corridor. She retrieved the fragment with a precision that felt almost preordained. And as she exited the dangerous region, the protostar's turbulent surface immediately resumed its chaotic dance. It was a clear demonstration that the Guardians weren't just observing, they were actively, subtly influencing the cosmic environment to aid her. These subtle interventions reinforced Ilara's belief that the Guardians were not merely passive observers of the universe's lament. They were active participants in its healing, their ancient consciousness woven into the very fabric of the cosmos, ready to assist anyone who truly aligned with the Weaver's purpose. Their guidance was a testament to the profound interconnectedness of all things, a reminder that even the most immense cosmic challenge could be overcome with subtle wisdom and unwavering intention. The Guardians never explicitly told her what to do, nor did they remove the challenges. Instead, they provided the insight, the intuitive leap, the fleeting vision that allowed her to discover the solution herself. It was a form of teaching, guiding her to unlock her own potential, to learn to speak the language of the cosmos herself. Their influence was like the gentle hand of a master weaver, subtly adjusting the tension on the threads, ensuring the apprentice's work remained true to the original design. With each fragment retrieved, the Guardian's presence felt stronger, clearer. The hum of Aethelgard, though still distant, seemed to resonate within her very bones, a constant source of calm and profound knowledge. Their guidance was not a crutch, but a quiet chorus, singing alongside her on this vast, solitary quest, slowly but surely leading her to the reweaving of the universe's silent song.
With each star fragment retrieved, a subtle but profound shift rippled through Ilara's consciousness, and she instinctively felt through the cosmos itself. The fragmented whispers of the broken chord began to coalesce, and she experienced the sensation of weaving the first connections. It was like finding a single elusive note, and then, with profound precision, sliding it back into its rightful place within a complex melody, feeling the immediate, subtle correction in the surrounding harmony. Each fragment, once secured in her ship's specialized containment unit, didn't just sit there inertly. It pulsed with a soft, resonant light, emitting its unique signature frequency of the Weaver. As she gathered more fragments, the separate pulses within the containment unit began to subtly interact, creating faint, shimmering lines of light between them. These were the reforming threads of the lost tapestry, energetic connections that were beginning to re-establish themselves, subtly pulling the universe back towards its original balance. Ilara found herself increasingly attuned to these reconnections. She could feel the threads, not physically, but as subtle shifts in the cosmic currents she had learned about from the celestial script. When a new fragment was successfully integrated, a wave of profound calm would wash over her, a deep resonance of recognition, as if the universe itself was sighing in gentle relief.
The background hum of the cosmos, which had once felt slightly dissonant, now carried clearer, purer undertones. The process was intricate, almost meditative. Each fragment, while a piece of the whole, also had a unique role, a specific harmonic frequency that contributed to a particular aspect of the weaver's song. The guardians, through their non-verbal guidance, often subtly highlighted these roles in Ilara's dreams. She would see visions of specific cosmic phenomena, a galaxy forming with perfect symmetry, a star system balancing its planets with impossible precision, and then see a particular fragment glowing within that vision, revealing its integral connection to that harmony. One fragment, retrieved from the heart of a frozen rogue planet, pulsed with a frequency that seemed to instantly clarify vast stretches of previously chaotic gravitational data. Another, pulled from the eye of a dying supernova, resonated with a calming energy that seemed to subtly dampen the volatile radiation fields around her ship. It was as if each piece, as it rejoined the nascent whole, had an immediate localized effect, spreading its restorative influence outward. Ilara began to notice subtle changes in her immediate cosmic environment as well. Distant nebulae, previously indistinct, seemed to glow with a softer, more vibrant luminescence. The starlight reaching her ship felt cleaner, less scattered. These changes were almost imperceptible to conventional instruments, but Ilara's finely tuned consciousness, steeped in the language of the celestial script and the wisdom of the guardians, perceived them acutely. It was like seeing the subtle vibrancy return to a faded painting. The emotional impact of this reweaving was profound. The weaver's lament, which had once filled her with a sense of cosmic sorrow, began to transform into a feeling of gentle hope. She felt the universe responding to her efforts, a vast living entity, slowly, patiently accepting its own healing. This reciprocal relationship, the subtle interplay between her actions and the universe's response, filled her with a deep sense of purpose and belonging. The reforming connections within her containment unit were not just theoretical, they were a tangible representation of her progress. The shimmering lines between the fragments grew brighter, stronger, beginning to form recognizable patterns from the celestial script. It was a miniature living model of the tapestry itself, unfolding before her eyes. Ilara knew that the full restoration was still immensely far off. Countless fragments remained scattered across the cosmic expanse, and the broken cord was deeply embedded in the universe's fabric. But with each successful retrieval, with each new connection woven, she felt an undeniable momentum building. The universe was slowly, deliberately beginning to remember its true song, and she was the quiet conduit through which that ancient melody was being reawakened. The task of weaving the first connections was proving to be a slow, meticulous act of cosmic devotion, gradually guiding the universe back to its inherent, profound harmony. As Ilara continued her meticulous work, gathering star fragments and feeling the subtle reweaving of connections, a new, profound phenomenon began to emerge. The celestial script, which had guided her with such precision, now pulsed with an increased vibrancy, and the pervasive hum of the universe around her subtly intensified. This was not merely the collection of fragments, it was the active response of the cosmos itself. The loom awakens. The loom, Ilara now understood, was not a physical machine, but a foundational energetic matrix woven into the very fabric of space-time.
It was the dynamic framework upon which the weaver's song of creation was continuously played. For eons, since the broken chord had fractured, the loom had been dormant, its full potential unexpressed, its rhythmic hum muted. But with each reconnected star fragment, with each thread carefully rewoven, the loom was stirring, regaining its ancient resonance. The most striking sign of the loom's awakening was the increasing intensity of the cosmic energy surrounding Ilara's ship. It wasn't a violent surge, but a gentle, pervasive warmth, a powerful but calming radiation that seemed to penetrate her vessel and resonate within her very bones. Her instruments, particularly those designed to detect subtle harmonic frequencies, began to register off-the-charts readings, indicating a massive, organized outpouring of energy that defied conventional astrophysical explanation. This was the loom, humming with renewed life. In her containment unit, the collected star fragments, now numerous, pulsed with a synchronized rhythmic light. The shimmering threads connecting them no longer just formed faint lines, they coalesced into intricate, multidimensional patterns that mirrored the celestial script, actively recreating the fractal signature of the weaver. It was a miniature, living replica of the tapestry, growing more complete with each new addition. The light radiating from them was so pure, so vibrant, that it cast an ethereal glow within her cockpit, illuminating her face with a soft, otherworldly luminescence. Her dreams, too, mirrored this awakening. She no longer just observed the tapestry, she felt herself immersed within it. She felt the rhythmic vibration of the loom, a gentle, powerful pulsation that echoed the beating of her own heart, but on a cosmic scale. She saw immense unseen hands subtly guiding the threads of starlight, realigning the cosmic currents, pulling the universe back into its perfect, intended form. The weaver's lament, which had once been a sorrowful echo, was now imbued with a growing sense of anticipation, a quiet joy of restoration. The guardians of the loom, though still silent, radiated an overwhelming sense of profound satisfaction. Their resonant presence, which had guided her so long, now felt like a chorus of deep harmonious chords celebrating the reawakening. They were the ancient witnesses to the loom's slumber, and now they were witnessing its slow, magnificent reawakening. The journey was transforming from a solitary quest into a symbiotic dance with the universe itself. Ilara was not just collecting fragments, she was activating a process, a cosmic reboot. The loom in its awakening was suddenly drawing in other uncollected star fragments, guiding them towards her, making her task, while still immense, feel less like a search and more like a collaboration with the cosmos. She would detect faint pulls, almost like magnetic forces, guiding her ship towards distant, previously unfathomable locations where a fragment had just revealed itself. The universe felt more alive than ever before, more responsive, more interconnected. The subtle disharmonies, the wrinkles in the cosmic fabric that she had learned to perceive, were slowly, steadily beginning to smooth out. The song of creation was not just being remembered, it was actively being re-sung by the universe itself, its notes growing clearer, its harmonies deeper.
Ilara knew that the final act of restoration was still to come, but the current stage was exhilarating. The loom awakens, not with a roar, but with a deep, resonant hum, a gentle yet powerful vibration that permeated all existence, signaling the slow, majestic return of the celestial weaver's grand design. She was a witness and a participant in the most profound act of cosmic renewal imaginable.
The pervasive hum of the awakening loom now resonated within Ilara's very being, a steady, powerful vibration that pulsed with the heart of the cosmos. The star fragments she had meticulously gathered pulsed brighter than ever in her containment unit, their shimmering threads forming an almost complete, intricate replica of the weaver's fractal signature. The celestial script, once a challenging language, now felt as natural as thought, its patterns flowing effortlessly through her mind. All signs pointed to the final, momentous event, the grand alignment. The guardians of the loom, through their sustained, resonant presence, had begun to transmit the final instructions. These were not commands, but a deep, intuitive understanding of the precise celestial coordinates, the exact moment in cosmic time, and the specific energetic frequencies required for the ultimate reweaving. It was an alignment not just of stars, but of energies, of intentions, and of the very fabric of space and time. Ilara learned that the grand alignment wasn't a sudden, instantaneous flash, but a deliberate, slow unfolding. It required the precise positioning of her ship and the collected star fragments at a nexus point where ancient cosmic currents converged, a place that had been subtly prepared by the loom's awakening. This nexus was deep within the heart of an ancient, largely empty void, a region of space that had once suffered the most profound effects of the broken cord, making it the ideal canvas for the complete restoration. As she navigated her vessel towards this celestial rendezvous, the energy emanating from the loom intensified, gently pushing her ship, guiding it with an unseen force. The stars around her seemed to shimmer with an unusual brilliance, their light resonating with the growing harmony. It was as if the universe itself was holding its breath, anticipating the final act of recreation. Her dreams were no longer just visions, they were active participation in the alignment. She felt herself becoming a conductor, her hands guiding immense streams of cosmic light, pulling them together with an invisible force. She saw the full tapestry in its pristine glory, a vast, shimmering ocean of interconnected stars and galaxies, each thread glowing with vibrant life, each note of the song of creation resonating in perfect harmony. Upon reaching the designated nexus point, Ilara felt an overwhelming sense of stillness. The pervasive cosmic hum around her softened, becoming incredibly pure and clear, like a single perfect note suspended in infinite silence. She initiated the final sequence, a complex harmonic resonance based on the complete celestial script and the collective wisdom of the guardians. This was the trigger, the cue for the universe to begin its grand act of self-restoration. From her containment unit, the collected star fragments began to pulse with blinding intensity, their light coalescing into a single, radiant sphere of pure energy. This sphere then expanded, slowly, majestically, sending out intricate waves of light and resonance that began to spread across the cosmic void.
It was not an explosion, but an unfolding, a gentle expansion of pure creative harmony. As the waves spread, Ilara witnessed a miracle. The subtle wrinkles in the fabric of space-time, the lingering effects of the broken chord, began to smooth out. Distant nebulae brightened, their colors deepening and clarifying. The orbits of distant star systems seemed to subtly correct themselves, falling into more perfect, graceful dances. It was a healing on a cosmic scale, silent and profound. The most breathtaking sight was the return of the cosmic currents. Where they had once been turbulent or sluggish, they now flowed with renewed vigor and clarity, shimmering like rivers of light through the dark expanse. These currents were the weaving hands of the loom, actively restitching the universe, pulling the scattered threads back into their intended design. Ilara felt an immense surge of energy within herself, a direct connection to this cosmic rebirth. She was a witness, a conduit, and a participant in the universe's grand recovery. The grand alignment was not an end, but a beginning. The universe was not merely being restored, it was being reborn, singing its song of creation anew, stronger and more vibrant than before. The once lost tapestry was not just found, it was actively reweaving itself, stitch by shimmering stitch, restoring the profound harmony to all of existence. The profound energy of the grand alignment continued to emanate outwards, a wave of pure restorative harmony rippling through the cosmos. Ilara, at the heart of this unfolding miracle, felt her ship bathed in its incandescent glow, and her own consciousness expanded, interwoven with the vibrant rebirth of the universe. The universe sings anew. The immediate effects were subtle, yet undeniably profound. The background hum of space, once carrying a faint undertone of dissonance, now resolved into a pure, resonant chord, a foundational note that vibrated with absolute perfection. It was the song of creation fully returned, clear and strong, a melody that had been muted for eons, now sung with renewed vigor. This was not a physical sound, but a pervasive, energetic presence that vibrated through every atom, every particle, making the vast emptiness of space feel richly alive. Ilara gazed out of her viewport, tears streaming silently down her face, not of sorrow, but of overwhelming awe. Distant galaxies, once mere smudges of light, now seemed to pulse with a deeper, more defined luminosity. Their spiral arms, where once some had shown slight irregularities, now flowed with perfect, elegant curves, guided by the restored cosmic currents. Nebulae blossomed with richer, more vibrant colors, their gaseous forms swirling in intricate, harmonious patterns that spoke of an underlying, conscious design. She watched as streams of pure, incandescent light, the reformed threads of the weaver's tapestry, stretched across unimaginable distances, connecting stars and galaxies in a luminous, intricate web. These were not just light trails, they were conduits of information, of energy, of the very essence of cosmic harmony. The universe was visibly, albeit subtly, restitching itself, correcting the subtle imperfections caused by the broken chord. The guardians of the loom, their presence now clearer and more potent than ever before, filled Ilara's mind with a sensation of profound peace and satisfaction. Their collective consciousness resonated with a powerful, joyous hum, a cosmic chorus celebrating the return of the full song of creation. They had waited, watched, and guided, and now their ancient vigil found its profound culmination. Ilara felt the weaver's presence more intimately than ever before. It was not a separate entity, but the very essence of the restored harmony, a vast flowing consciousness that now imbued every corner of the universe with its gentle, creative power. The weaver's lament had transformed into a cosmic lullaby, soothing the ancient wounds of the cosmos. The universe was no longer just a collection of random celestial bodies governed by impersonal laws. It was a grand, living artwork, constantly being woven, constantly singing its own unique, magnificent song. Every star was a note, every nebula a shimmering chord, every galaxy a grand movement in an eternal cosmic symphony. The effects of the restored tapestry extended beyond the purely astronomical. Ilara felt a subtle, almost imperceptible shift within herself. The anxieties and stresses that had gnawed at her during her long quest seemed to simply dissolve, replaced by a profound sense of inner calm and clarity. She felt utterly at peace, connected to something infinitely vast and profoundly gentle. It was as if the cosmic harmony resonated within her own soul, retuning her deepest being. The energy within her ship, the residual glow from the star fragments, slowly began to dissipate, their task fulfilled. They had returned their pure frequencies to the grand loom, helping to mend the broken cord. The journey was complete, not with a triumphant roar, but a profound, pervasive silence that hummed with the most perfect harmony. The universe, Ilara understood, had not just found its lost tapestry, it had found its voice again. And now, after countless eons of subtle dissonance, the cosmos sings anew. The soft glow of the last star fragment fades within its containment unit, its unique purpose fulfilled. Ilara lets her head rest gently against the cool surface of the viewport, the vast, humming expanse of the revitalized universe stretching out before her. The deep, resonant song of creation now fills every corner of her mind, a pervasive, gentle melody that guides the slow, rhythmic breath of the cosmos. She feels the last vestiges of her conscious thought dissolving into this perfect harmony, her own being becoming one with the vast, quiet dance of stars and galaxies. The subtle tension in her shoulders releases, her eyelids grow heavy, and the profound, peaceful hum of the universe cradles her. She is no longer observing, she is simply being, a tiny note in the grand, endless cosmic symphony. The blanket feels warm, the ship a gentle cradle in the infinite dark. Her breathing slows, deepening, in perfect synchronicity with the quiet, rhythmic pulses of the cosmos. The hum of the universe is a lullaby, soft and eternal, guiding her deeper into the profound rest she has earned. Good night, good night, good night.